Why being a Sigma male sucks. So there's this term, a Sigma male, going around. I think sometimes it's used sort of ironically. I mean, obviously the whole sort of alpha, beta, Sigma, pop psychology, not really scientifically validated. There's some good stuff in there though. I think there's some really good urges for young men in there. So we'll look at those, what might be positive, but why it's probably not such a good idea. All right, so often sigmas are kind of positioned in terms like alpha, beta, sigma. Sometimes people are looking at like dog packs or wolf packs and seeing if we can make some equivalent. I mean, the positive in there is like status is a thing. Yeah, people are status orientated. Read The Status Game by Will Storr. Some good Williamson podcasts on this as well. Status is real. Like people look at status. And the other piece there is achievement, obviously related to status. People want to achieve things, they want to do things in the world. Yeah, alphas are often considered the sort of more extrovert leaders of the betas. And there's definitely some truth, for example, that if you're perceived in a way which is a leadership position, women love that. Yeah, like I know this when I'm on a stage, if I'm teaching loads of people, if I'm leading trainings, women look at me totally different than if I'm a participant. Like I was just in the gym, for example. I'm just a middle-aged dude of average height. No, girls don't look at me in the gym. When I'm on a stage or doing a book launch or something like that, I get looked at very differently. So there is something in, being in positions of power, status, authority, and competence. Men assess each other on competence. Women are always filtering for the confidence that shows competence. This is true. And the alpha is often the sort of leader, the more extrovert version. Sigma is often considered a bit more introvert, a bit more of a loner. Now, why it's fundamentally unhealthy is that we are not loners. We are social creatures. We are social animals, even if you're a bit more introvert. I certainly have that side myself at times. You can't do it alone. It's an incredibly unhealthy thing. Like you're inter-resilient, you're inter-wise. Even finances, right? Like if you just trying to do it on your own, like my male network of it's kind of like a business group that I founded of guys, and we help each other a lot. Like we're responsible for a good chunk of each other's wealth, both, very practically, like doing affiliates and swapping staff members and best practice, talking about crypto, whatever it is. Like directly, but also indirectly in terms of the emotional support, the advice. Someone's talking about divorce. It's so important. Like it's so important. I think men tend to isolate. I think society as a whole at the moment is also very scared of groups of men. You hear the word bro used in a very negative connotation. Others have pointed out, however, in men's work that like the gang is the basic formation of guys. It's what we do. It's what you'll see in a war, for example. It's what you'll see in a workplace. I mean, even like the 12 disciples, it's a bunch of dudes, right? Like that's our basic structure because that's what's healthy for us. To have a brotherhood. Yeah, this isn't a negative thing to be a tech bro or a crypto bro or whatever. Orthodox bro. It's not a negative term. So I think it's part of this sort of Sigma fantasy is part of isolating men. And isolated men are weak, broke, and psychologically unwell. All those things. You're as strong as the people you're around. It's like you hear people say, oh, you're as rich as the 5 people you're around or whatever. There's so much truth in that. The grain of truth, and often the best lies have a grain of truth, is that we do need to learn a certain amount of independence, right? It's like, do you need to call a guy up for every little break-in thing in your house, right? Like, I'll get a plumber in if need be, but it's like, go on YouTube, find a video, tighten the thing, whatever. Some basic skills. I don't know, I got a broken light bulb out of the socket the other day, and my girlfriend was like, it's like, it wasn't that hard. I just looked it up and did it. So having a certain amount of independence, I think, is good. The fantasy of complete independence is just that. It's a masculine fantasy. The male psyche does have this urge. I just want to be away from everything. I want to escape everything. And that fantasy is just that. It's a fantasy. Okay, but positive in there as well. What else? I think it's an excuse for introverted, geeky, slightly autistic people to say they don't need to learn social skills. Social skills are a force magnifier. Like who's strongest? A guy with big muscles or a guy who can enroll 10 other guys into following them? Like that's way more muscular power, way more cognitive power, whatever. Yeah. So social skills it's the key way humans are badass. Like if you think about the animals, they have run faster, gorilla could totally mess you up, all the memes, but bigger claws, bigger fangs, but humans have social skills. We can socially coordinate. And that is perhaps the most important skill set for anyone to learn. So if someone's saying they're a Sigma and they've sort of made that cool, they've got some image of, I don't know what the examples are in culture, but maybe it's one of the Peaky Blinders or something, you know. But those guys aren't isolated. Those guys were a gang, a community, right? Anyway, so yeah, I think making that image cool, I think, is really self-destructive, and it's something the culture actively encourages. I know a lot of this is just sort of meme culture, and yeah, isn't really, what can I say, isn't really to be taken too seriously. Couple more positives though in there. I think sometimes the Sigma archetype, if you will, is someone who doesn't have to be liked. Yeah, it's like I'd rather be respected than liked. I think that's good. If you're a people pleaser, for example, if you're someone who has that pathological urge to be liked by everyone, you're never really going to achieve much. Yeah, and I think getting used to being disliked, and I'm highly disagreeable myself, so it's, you know, this is relatively easy for me, but still took some training. There's always that urge that, oh, I hope people like me. It's very human. It does get in the way of success. And I think learning to be loathed is important. Just yesterday there was a discussion online, and I said something no one wanted to hear. It was all about, there was a woman saying, I'm going to go through my slutty stage at 40, and everyone was like, you go girl. I was like, you know what, you do you, but I just don't think this is a good idea. And all the comments underneath were just hate, 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 hate. I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm hated by a couple of dozen people on the internet who I don't know. Why is their opinion important to me? It's not. I wanted to speak the truth. Told the truth as I see it, yeah? So I think there's something in that, a sort of contempt for normal social status. It might be like, it's okay if people think I'm weird. It's okay if I'm not dressed, you know, a particular way and have the car. I think there's something in that, like a creativity mixed with a disdain for the normal trappings of success. Again, the juxtaposition is the alpha looks a certain way. They're much more in society, a little bit outside it. And I think that ability to be disliked and to be weird and to be like an outsider, I think that can be tremendously healthy aspect of what it is to be a Sigma. So yeah, in that sense, I see it more like skill sets rather than I am Sigma, I am an alpha, and people then sort of dress up as the appearance. You know, I walk around as an alpha, or I try and be mysterious, you know, like a Sigma. I try and be I'm smoking a vape like I'm a time traveler from the future. It's like, no, that's all an affectation. It's like, what are the actual skill sets involved? As a coach, that's what I'm teaching. So it might be the skill set of regulating yourself while being hated. It might be the skill set of doing something, having the courage to do something that's a virtue, right? The courage to do something difficult even if you're being mocked. What are the practices for this, right? Like, what are the practices we could have of, I'm going to say something that might not be liked? Not just to be an arse, not to just to be super provocative and upset people, because it needs saying, right? And also, as I say, that could be a practice for you personally, So I'd say for anyone who's finds this image of the Sigma attractive, two things you might want to separate out. One is there part of this which is just bullshit? Is there part of this that I go, okay, that's just me having an excuse for being kind of not developing social skills, for example, right? Is it just an excuse? Is it a cope, basically? I think that's one thing we need to separate out. And on the other side, is there a skill set there that needs developing? Is there something that I have a genuine longing for, like a certain type of success, irrespective of what people think of me? That could be hugely positive. Okay, so there's just my ramblings on what it is to be a Sigma. What do you think? Have I misunderstood the concept? I'm not down with the meme culture around this. I know a lot of people, it's ironic. My worry generally at the moment with masculinity is it's being presented in one of two ways, both of which are pathological. One is any kind of masculinity is toxic, masculinity bad. The only way to be a good man is to become less of a man. That's the mainstream. And then the sort of Andrew Tate flip on the other side is a sort of stereotype of a man. It's like a hyper-masculine trait of the sort of, it's not even hyper-masculine, it's the illusion of masculinity, right? It's like, I have big muscles and I'm alpha or I'm Sigma, and it's just sort of a meme. It's not real masculinity in terms of any genuine virtue with depth. So these are the two extremes of the push, the culture and the anti-culture. And I don't think either of them are healthy. So I think this sort of Sigma trend is part of that. I don't know. What do you think?